Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of The Game Plan. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at VerifiedInvesting.com. A little dressed down casual day today, no button down. We're going to go a little bit lighter after July 4th, and I do hope if you did celebrate, you had a wonderful day off there celebrating and having a good time. All right, a lot to go over today, guys. Crypto crashing. We've got non-farm payrolls data out. There is economic data coming next week like CPI. So there is a lot going on here that we are going to have to pay attention to. First things first, we're going to go right into the non-farm payrolls report and see exactly what is going on. So here we go, guys. And again, I have it up on the screen. I should have made it a little bit bigger for you guys. I'm going to see if I can do that right now. But basically, the jobs data came in line with expectations, except for the unemployment report. There we go. That should be a little bit easier to read. Here we go on the numbers, guys. Non-farm payrolls, 206,000. Expectations were 200. So that's basically in alignment, still showing good jobs growth. This is the more concerning factor here. This part right here, the unemployment rate inched up to 4.1% versus expectations of 4%. Now, that may not seem like a big deal, but it actually is, because last month it also inched up from 3.9 to 4. So it went from 3.9 to 4 and now 4.1%. So why is this happening? We're creating jobs, but we're seeing the unemployment rate rise. In my opinion, what's going on here is part-time work. And this is something that I've reported on to you guys many times over. You're having full-time work being lost, right? So more and more people are losing full-time work, but you're seeing people taking multiple part-time jobs, which you count in as multiple jobs, right? So a job, whether it's 20 hours a week, if you take two 20-hour-a-week jobs, that's 2 jobs. Right? They're part-time. So again, people are losing jobs, but people are being forced to take multiple part-time jobs. So overall, does that tell us something about the economy? It does. It tells us that, again, full-time work is scaling back. Part-time work is being kind of the big filler here, and that's not always good. Also, you always want to pay attention here to how many jobs were created by the U.S. government. That has been one of the biggest hirers in the last year or so, even the last couple years, basically since the pandemic, let's be fair, and that has kept the jobs numbers up higher versus where they should be. Okay, so what do we see here on the S&P 500? This is when the jobs report came out. You can see you had this whippy candle on the 10-minute chart of the SPY. We did see a little bit of a downtick here afterwards, and we're starting to come back in. Now, for me, when I look at this, I think that initially the markets rejoiced over the hotter, slightly better than expected strong jobs number of 206, but I think more and more people are going to come around to seeing this number here, and that's telling us there's a weaker economy. Now, the problem is this, is it good to see weaker data because then the Fed might lower rates more aggressively? Maybe, but does that create this loop of inflation deflation? And that's one of the things I wanted to discuss here, of inflation deflation loop. Now, deflation comes in where ultimately the economy tanks. You see commodities dropping. We're seeing nickel down 20% just in the last 6 to 8 weeks. We're seeing a lot of other signs of deflation maybe starting. Now, most people would cheer at deflation and say, yes, finally prices are actually going to come down versus just inching up at a slower rate, which is what disinflation is telling us. The problem is this. We have a government that is going to use that as an excuse to print and spend more money. We have a Federal Reserve that's going to say, oh, we don't want deflation, so let's run our balance sheet up and spend more money, which then creates the big loop, right? So if we talk about a loop here, we basically go from deflation, and then the government comes in and spends, which causes inflation with the Federal Reserve, which then causes an epic collapse down again, and then we go around this loop and around and around. And ultimately, that's unsustainable, folks. Eventually, it just all collapses, and the financial system is no more. Now, again, there'll always be some sort of financial system. The question is it ruled by the U.S. dollar? Is it ruled by massive eventual hyperinflation, economic collapse? As I've talked about with you guys before, we have the dollar yen that's showing us major issues are going on in Japan. We have lots of other caveats throughout the world that are also showing us we have issues there. Okay, so that was just something I wanted to discuss here, but nonetheless, the S&P 500 is down ticking just a little bit. I think we're still flattish on the day. Now, if we look at the dollar yen here, this is an important chart to monitor. Notice how this was your previous intervention. We'll put an I for intervention right here. That's what caused us to drop right down to the low end of the channel. We then broke above, so that's a breakout. Notice the last couple days we've come in and tested it. My guess is we're still headed back up. All right, so again, watch that dollar yen, and eventually the Japanese central bank will have to come in and intervene again. And again, I've said this before, but I know we always have new viewers out there that are joining us for the first time. Remember that the way Japan intervenes to strengthen their currency is by essentially dumping U.S. debt. And they get, when they dump treasuries, they get dollars back, and then they have to dump those dollars and buy yen, and that strengthens the yen. So that's why it's such a bad scenario for the U.S. and why the U.S. wants to label them a currency manipulator, is because if the Fed, let's just say, let's do a hypothetical, which I think will come true, the U.S. economy starts to weaken more and more, and the Fed says, oh man, we gotta, get interest rates down. Well, what if Japan starts dumping a lot of their debt on the open market, which is U.S. Treasuries? Well, then what happens is more supply of U.S. Treasuries on the market, supply-demand, causes interest rates to go up. So the Fed's trying to push interest rates down, and Japan and maybe other countries like China dumping U.S. debt on the open market pushes it back up. The Fed can actually lose control of interest rates. Just remember that, guys, because it will be something that we deal with in the future. Okay. A couple other charts here that I wanted to go over. One of them, we're going to get into crypto earlier today because it is a big mover here. But one of them that I wanted to go over is this chart. So we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Bitcoin obviously dropping precipitously over the last 48 hours. You can see it right here. And again, you can see a split screen now. The reason why I want to show you this is because I'm going to tell you something that you're going to look at this chart of the S&P and say, Gareth is nuts. He's not even close on this one. So I'm going to tell you that the Bitcoin chart is literally identical, except it leads by 2 weeks to the S&P or the general market. And you're going to look at me and say, there's no way, right? I mean, if you look at this chart, here's Bitcoin's chart, and look at the S&P, up, down, and then new all-time highs. But the kicker is this. This is 6 stocks. That's it, right? $1 trillion names. That's 6 stocks. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind, because when I figured this out over the weekend, or I shouldn't say weekend, it was the holiday, and yes, I do work on holidays. It's the way it is, but I love it. RSP is the equal weight. Look at this, guys. Look at this chart of the equal weight S&P 500. So the other chart I showed you, the S&P, was 6 stocks, and I'm being a little bit facetious in that because it obviously has the other ones, but they're so dominant, those $1 trillion names, now three $3 trillion names, that it really dominates. But if you look at the equal weight, look at this. You have the big move up. This is your all-time high. You have the correction, the lower high, and then the down move. Big move up, correction, lower all-time high, and then we're right here. And the kicker is this. Check this out. So you can see this coordination. So essentially, Bitcoin is the market, the S&P. It's just not the Mag 6 or the Mag 7. And so really what we see here is, look at this. If we erase these lines, and this is something else that I found fascinating, this was March 14th. Let me do this right here. The high on Bitcoin was March, 14th. This was that high. The high on the S&P equal weight was March 28th, right there. So literally 2 weeks later. And what do we see going on here? So if you map this out, if this is 2 weeks ahead of time and look at what's happening, look at this. What's happening to Bitcoin? What does this tell us? Within 2 weeks, in about 2 weeks, we should see the equal weight starting to collapse down. And what you can see is, if you look at the date right here and right here, it's 2 weeks. So this is 2 weeks later, 2W. And this is basically, the day of. So my point is, again, is that you have a chart that is mimicking, essentially the higher risk asset is telling us that risk is being pulled off the table with a 2 week, lead time. And here the S&P equal weight is following suit 2 weeks later. And again, remember, this chart is 494 stocks. That's his equal weight. Basically, it's saying that the Mag 6 are not dominating. This is really the market here, guys. And if you look at the real market, it did make a pivot high, just like Bitcoin right over here. All right, so I thought that was a fascinating little entry I wanted to give you guys today. One of these things that I discover. I love bringing them to you guys right here. And by the way, I want to make this announcement right now. July 15th is Investor Empowerment Day. And we're going to be making a big deal about it here at Verified Investing. It's a day where everyone that is an investor, retail crowd mainly, that's what we're focusing on here. You guys, this is your day to be empowered, and Verified Investing's goal is to always make sure that the retail crowd, you, me, and everyone else who's not an institution that has billions and trillions of dollars, we have the same information, we have all the same data, and that's what Verified Investing is here to do, is equal that or level that playing field for all of you. So be ready for it. We're going to be trading live here, live. I'm going to be doing the live trading room. You're going to see my P&L. You're going to see it all here. It's going to be an amazing day with lots of stuff throughout the day and probably some giveaways as well. All right. Couple things here. Let's go over a couple other charts before we get into crypto a little bit more. Here we have the chart of Tesla. Tesla, to me, it is opening higher today, or it looks like it will, but this has a classic case of methodology topping signals. Now, again, amazing move, but look at the trend lines converging here, and I think I showed you guys this on Wednesday. You also have a 3-bar surge, 1, 2, 3. The methodology tells us that generally moves end on 3-bar surges. By the way, doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just probabilities. Remember, everything we do is probabilities. You also have a time count, which is a 7 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's another factor if you've studied the methodology here in the Winning Trader series and things like that. So we have multiple factors that tell us probably we see a reversal today on Tesla. We'll wait and see if I'm correct on this one. And remember, it's all a game of probabilities. Next up, we're going to get into a couple things here. I just want to look at a couple other charts this morning. Here's your NVIDIA chart. It did just hold on Wednesday this sideways consolidation bear pattern. So what we're looking for here, does it get above here and start retracing to that high, or does it get rejected and eventually break to the downside? Right now, if you look at probabilities, and that's what you have to do if you're going to be a successful investor, you have to look and say, okay, this pattern, as long as it holds, favors the downside. If you get above here, it's more of a neutral. Now, you wouldn't go bullish because you still have the reversal candle here that's the dominant force. That candle is dominantly bearish, but now you'd be negating the bear flag, so it would be more, this would cancel out this, right? It would become a neutral, kind of like an equal right there. All right, so let's watch and see what NVIDIA does today per the trading portions. Remember, Wednesday was a day where the markets were very light. It was a day with light volume, and this surge up here, remember, NVIDIA was actually negative on the day, and the news hit that Nancy Pelosi bought another 1.2 million, I think, dollars worth of NVIDIA, and as soon as that hit, NVIDIA just surged to the upside. It was pretty remarkable. So, by the way, you know, it's like Roaring Kitty. She's the new Roaring Kitty. Whatever. We'll move on with that. But don't expect it to last forever, even with the idea that she has some inside information. Okay. On that note, let's do our spin of the wheel to give away our wheel of appreciation here. So let's do that. Number 1 here. Remember the 1-minute scalpel 1 on Wednesday. That is Dr. B's amazing 1-minute chart trading tactics. It's incredible what he's developed there. And here we go. Oh, very cool. We got some comments in there. Shared on X. Beautiful. Blockchain Analytics 1607. Congratulations. Reach out to support at verifiedinvesting.com. That is the beautiful 1-minute scalpel winner today. Congratulations. Let's go over here and let's spin that wheel and see what we got here, guys. All right. Awesome. There you go, guys. 1-year membership free of TradingView. TradingView, one of our amazing partners here and sponsors. So congratulations, guys. Whoever wins today, which will be drawn on Monday, all right, that'll be drawn on Monday, will win 1 year free of TradingView. Okay, on that note, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And I'm going to tell you before we do this is that yesterday and the day before, I have been going nuts with crypto trade signal alerts to members of Smart Money Crypto because crypto is dumping. And a lot of people, so first of all, we covered some of our short on Bitcoin, took a nice little gain there, still holding some of it because I think Bitcoin's going down to 50K. We're going to look at those charts in just 1 second. But I was sitting in a lot of cash waiting for the altcoins to dump out. We did dump out, and what do you know I was doing? Just buy, 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 buy. So if you're a member, congratulations. We're already in the money on a bunch of these trades, while most people, unfortunately, are kind of like, what the heck? Where was that altcoin bull market that everyone, all the influencers all over X and all these other places were promising you guys? It is what it is. That's why I trade charts, guys, because charts are unbiased. They just tell me what they tell me. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. They just have to be right more often than wrong. All right, in any case, we're going to take a quick break to take a look at Smart Money Crypto. Take it away. Hey everybody, my name is Gareth Soloway, and this is Smart Money Crypto. In this service, you're going to get trade signals, buy level. Hey everybody, welcome to Smart Money Commodities. Hey everybody, my name is Gareth Soloway, and this is Smart Money Crypto. In this service, you're going to get trade signals, buy levels, sell levels, everything you need to be able to conquer the crypto markets. In addition, videos almost every single day, probably 6 days a week. So literally, you're going to get them even on the weekends. In addition, what do? I post up chart levels, constant flow of information from me to you, morning, noon, night, weekends, whatever it is. I am there scanning charts, finding the technical analysis and data points to give you. This isn't about meme coins. This isn't about hype. This is the data just for you guys to be able to conquer the crypto markets. Guys, we are back here. Let's get right into the action. We have Bitcoin, which has dumped out massively. Look at the beauty of this chart. And again, this is why I just love charts and they continue to blow my mind constantly, is because basically what we knew is we had gotten above this wedge pattern, but then it came back into the wedge pattern. And look, kind of chopped, retested right here. This downsloping trend line got rejected. Once it closed below, breakdown, flush out right there. Now, what's so cool about this chart, guys, is that ultimately it is getting close to major support. Now, we had major support at 56,500. That just got wiped out. I mean, just smoked away. But the key is this. We're looking at the next key level. If we zoom out, we have a couple levels that I'm closely watching. They're within about $3,000 of each other. Basically, 52 and change right here. And then ultimately, what do we have, guys? We have this level here, which is the previous high of the spot ETF approval. So this is where the spot ETF was approved right here. Spot ETF, we'll put spot right there. That was right at that high. This is this consolidation level right here. This is your buy zone, at least what I'm looking at as a potential buy zone. Now listen, already a great bounce. Now you might say, well, why are you buying altcoins? Well, because the altcoins hit key support. And so I was slowly accumulating those in the evening. It was funny last night. So basically I was literally essentially asleep, woke up, saw the altcoins, and I'm like, buy, putting out alerts to members in Smart Money Crypto. It's so cool, guys, by the way. And again, the beauty of it is, if we look at some of these altcoins, and I want to bring up some of these, so we know our level on this, and we'll go to Ethereum in just a second, but even looking at something like a Uniswap here, look at this level that Uniswap hit right at the lows. Now, again, is this definitely a low where it's going to bounce massively? No, honestly, I have no idea. But as a technician of the charts, I know that this low, which is right here, so these two lows right there, and even back here, right? I mean, look at that. Notice how price got here, bounced, got here, bounced, got here, bounced. So it doesn't, in theory, right? Just use the logic. Like everyone else is panicking, and what you do is you say, well, listen, if history showed me this, this, and this, well, I'm going to go with that and look for a bounce here. Now, how high of a bounce do we get? Don't really know. But that's okay, because we know that we should get a bounce there. We're in the money, and we can let this thing do its thing. So very cool there, guys. I'm always excited to show this. I did pick up Ethereum. So Ethereum, I did accumulate that. And I'll just show you guys real quick. We had a couple other levels here that got wiped out. That's okay. But basically, in terms of the buy level on Ethereum, there were two levels. So we have this upsloping line from this high to this here to these lows right through here. And we have a flat bottom. Both of those got hit. I picked it up just above 2,800. We got down to about 2,800. I think I got in my average, or my entry price was 28.25, and all of a sudden getting a nice bounce. In fact, we're already in the money, almost 125 bucks here on Ethereum. So again, that's the beauty of the charts. Is like, you know, people always say, oh, well, you know, you're sitting in cash. Why aren't you this? It's just because the charts are my guide. It doesn't matter what's up here or what's in here in my heart. I actually love Bitcoin. I think it is the future of digital gold. I really do believe that. Now, the altcoins, honestly, you know, who knows which one survived. It's kind of like, you know, if you could pick all the .com stocks back in the day, which ones of those became the Amazons, right? When Amazon first launched, no one knew it was going to become Amazon.com, right? We didn't know that at the time. So that's the bigger question mark. But with Bitcoin and even Ethereum to some extent, it makes sense that those should do relatively well over the future. So but you have to be patient. You always get the flush out, but people are so emotional that they FOMO into these things, and then they ultimately get bad entries. I mean, even just a little while ago, you had this ETF hype, which popped it. Well, now we've done a full retrace to the beginning of that hype. It makes sense. You can now know that the ETF is out there or going to be essentially brought to market, and you're getting it at the same price. And by the way, does this tell me that it's not going to go lower? It could, but then you DCA. You choose your next technical level right here, right here. That little pivot high right in here would be your next level. If it continues lower, there's a level here, there's a level here. There's lots of areas, and ultimately, as you get in the money, you take a little bit off the table. So my way of trading, swing trading, I should say, is to slowly DCA in, and then when we get in the money, we slowly DCA out. And what that does is it ensures better entries by DCAing, and then when we pop, we're not going to get 100% gain on a trade, but when we're in the money 10%, we take a little off. When we're in the money 15%, we take a little off. And what that does is it puts money in your pocket that essentially allows you to be productive and profitable. So that when you do get the next flush, you have money to rebuy at a lower level and even DCA in again. And if it keeps going higher, then you keep selling little bits off and you ride it up, and then you wait for the next big correction to take it to the downside. So pretty cool stuff, guys. I'm loving the crypto action right now, especially as the stock market's kind of gotten quiet. But like I said, I do think it is a precursor to the stock market getting wild out there. All right, here's gold. Gold is up today. We're seeing the dollar decline a little bit based on the uptick in unemployment rate and the likelihood that the Fed may cut more than once this year. Gold broke out on Wednesday, pause on Thursday. Remember, we did have gold open on Thursday on July 4th, and we're going to see if it confirms. If it confirms, then your bias has to flip from basically neutral here, because we closed outside the wedge, to a bullish bias. So if we close essentially above the high from Wednesday, this becomes a bullish bias right here, and you would start to expect pullbacks, but eventually a retest and a break above that all-time high. Next up, silver, pretty much the same thing. Silver very strong on Wednesday, did close above the two trend lines. So notice it was trading here. This was negative. Friday, I shouldn't say Friday, it was Wednesday close. I'm all mixed up because of the holiday. Here was the close above, small pullback. If we confirm today, bullish bias on silver with the potential to get up to that double top at 32.50. As I've said to you guys before, my mid to long-term outlooks on gold and silver remain very, very bullish. Next up, let's take a look at oil. Oil is pausing today. It's still right around this level in this zone right up here. Lots and lots of resistance. So many trend lines coming through. Overbought chart, slowing economy here in the U.S. China is still not really doing much better as well. And that ultimately, I still think, causes an eventual rollover in oil to the downside. And lastly, natural gas real quick here, guys, as we go into natural gas. Let me bring up that chart. There it is. If we look at nat gas, I've already annotated it out. We had our wedge pattern breakdown right here. And look at the fall that really occurred once that broke down. I do have my buy level target right in here. This is also, if you take this low down here, I believe this is a 618 fib. So 618 fib right here. And this is also this pivot high right here. So that gives me a good basis that if price were to flush into this level, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to be patient. And if it hits, I will be a buyer. If it doesn't hit, don't really care. That's the beauty of it. There's no one trade that you have to be in. If you miss one trade, there's a zillion others coming around the corner. Always remember that, guys. And that, again, would be a good example right here. I've traded this how many times on these game plans? We talked about trades I've been in on natural gas, making money on each and every one of them, which is great. But ultimately, I've missed 20 in the meantime, but that's okay too, because it's all about which ones you catch. Are they the good probability, high reward, low risk trades? And do you make money over the course of the year, the week, the month, whatever it may be? All right, guys, don't forget July 15th, Investor Empowerment Day. It is a day that we are saying to you guys, this is your day. This is the day for retail to get the information and start demanding the information that the institutions get to level that playing field. I want you guys to join us for this amazing new holiday that we are creating. And again, it's a trading holiday for you guys. We're going to put together an amazing day of events here. We're already going to be doing a live trading room. I'll be literally in here with my 3-4 screens here, which I trade on 8, but I'll sacrifice for this. I'll be trading live right here for 2 hours, 9 to 11. It won't be the game plan, 9 to 11, but it will be a pseudo game plan with the trading room live. I'm going to be showing charts, talking to you guys, talking to our members who can ask me questions, all that fun stuff. and it's going to be amazing. So be ready for Investor Empowerment Day on July 15th, guys. It's basically only a little over a week away. On that note, I got to get to my trading room now, start trading this market action. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Verified Investing. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.